Hello, good afternoon. I'm told by the organisers that we're ready to start this session. My name is Anna Balance. I'm the Senior Climate Change and Environment Advisor at the British High Commission in Dhaka. It'd be great if somebody from the audience could just wave and say that they can hear me and they're ready to start.
Anna, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Thank you. So hello again, and thank you for coming. So I've been asked to talk a little bit about what some of the COP27 outcomes mean for the UK's collaboration with Bangladesh as a partner in the climate journey. So I'm just going to focus on three. I mean, obviously there was an awful lot that was achieved. Some things more so than others at COP27, but I'm just going to focus on three areas which are relevant to the work that we were already engaging with Bangladesh. So I want to focus on obviously the new fund to address losses and damages is one of the key outcomes. Then I want to talk a little bit more about adaptation, and also about the efforts to keep warming to 1.5 degrees. So the new fund to address losses and damages. Obviously, this is great that some progress is being made. That countries have agreed this. Obviously, there's an awful lot still to be determined. What we are working with Bangladesh on is another announcement that was made at COP27 was about the Global Shield, which is a new disaster risk financing facility, which is also still under development, and there's some scope to influence this, but Bangladesh is going to be one of the pilot countries, and the UK is leading this initiative. So both Outpost and centrally in the UK, we're very keen to see how this might be useful in both reducing and avoiding and potentially addressing some losses and damages. So the Global Shield is, like I say, it's a disaster risk financing. It works a little bit like insurance, but I think some of the things that we will need to work on is thinking beyond traditional insurance and looking at how so the risk is not constant with climate change. Perhaps with other types of insurance. So, for example, driving insurance, the risk of you having an accident one day or another day is perhaps not too much different. But we know with climate change that the impacts are going to get more frequent and more intense, and therefore the traditional model of insurance is not going to be appropriate, because it would just mean that the premiums go up and up and up. Another thing we need to look at is how to manage that within the overall amount of finance for vulnerable countries, both for adaptation and mitigation, and make sure that this new fund doesn't just become another vehicle and we end up sort of moving money around. This has got to be seen as part of a new commitment. And one of the other ways that we are supporting Bangladesh over the last year and will continue to do so is its engagement in the task force on access to climate finance, which was actually established in COP26. And Bangladesh was a pioneer country. And what this task force aims to do is improve the access to some of the finance that is already there. Now, we've heard several times from many countries that although developed countries pay into these multilateral funds, it's incredibly difficult for some highly vulnerable countries to access the funding that they need. There's not enough grant funding versus loans. There's not enough for adaptation. And quite frankly, it just takes too long, and the process is too complicated. It's quite off-putting. So the task force will help to address better access to multilaterals, but also to improve effectiveness of the bilateral funds that are there. And it's great news that Bangladesh presented its national adaptation plan. One of the next steps is we'll be working with the government. They have identified 113, I think, priority actions in that national adaptation plan, and we will be working with the government to identify how they can be funded. I mean, there's a huge price tag overall on the national adaptation plan. We certainly won't be able to contribute. Our contribution will be very small, but what we want to help to do is leverage. We certainly will contribute to some of the priorities in there. For example, we do have some work starting next year on adaptation in ecologically critical areas, and that's possibly one of the most relevant examples for this conference on ecology is economy, because this will be investing in protecting and conserving two ecologically critical areas, both so that they can protect the surrounding communities and act as natural buffers, reducing some of the impacts of climate change, but also we'll be working with those surrounding communities to reduce their pressure on the ecologically critical areas from harvesting and from human activities. So there's protecting the environment will mean less costly damage for those communities. So we hope that will be a win-win. I also wanted to say a little bit about the locally led adaptation awards, which Bangladesh won at COP27. It was one of the winners, one of 4 winners, and the winner was Rangamati Hill District Council. So I just want to say why that's important is because it shows what communities can do in terms of adapting to climate change, but also showing leadership. And earlier this week, the government of Bangladesh and the Global Centre on Adaptation launched a global hub on locally led adaptation. And that's something that the UK is supporting. And we're obviously delighted to be partners in this. And it's a way of taking these experiences on the ground from Bangladesh, but also from other countries. It is a global hub, and sharing that knowledge, but also linking with funding so that these kinds of activities can be scaled up. Then I wanted to say a little bit about the energy transition and the efforts to keep 1.5 alive. So there wasn't so much focus on this in the COP27 outcome, but there was a recommitment to the Glasgow commitment, and there was also a commitment to continue to phase down fossil fuels. And although this is very welcome that it's going in the right direction, even if it is going far too slowly. The Bangladesh is rightly, its position is that some countries and also some industries that are highly polluting should really take the lead in coming forward with credible plans for reducing their emissions quickly and deeply. But it is also doing what it can, and this is where we really want to support Bangladesh to show that the Paris Agreement is working, that this is action is being taken by all countries, no matter their position in the energy transition, no matter their historical emissions, that all countries are showing leadership. And so Bangladesh is looking to diverse its energy sources. There's no magic bullet. There isn't going to be a massive conversion to renewable energy overnight in Bangladesh. But there are some options that the UK is looking to support and expand. One is solar home system integration to the national grid. We've started with a small pilot. The idea there is Bangladesh already has 6 million solar home systems across the country. Although these communities have now been reached by the national grid, those solar home systems risk becoming stranded assets. Nobody's going to use them anymore because the grid is cheaper. But what if those communities could actually still use their existing equipment and feed electricity into the grid? That would not only increase the share of renewable energy in the national grid, but it would provide a source of income for some of these more remote rural communities. What we've seen in our pilot is that it actually also provides an alternative, small but reliable and clean energy during the load shedding, which has been necessary as a result of the fuel price hikes. So that's something that we will be looking to expand. Like I say, it's been a very small pilot so far, but together with the Sustainable Renewable Energy Development Authority and the Power Cell, we'll be looking to see whether it's possible to scale that up. Another area that we're interested to look at is converting to solar irrigation, reducing...
Anna, sorry, Anna, we have just 1 more minute.
Sure, I'm nearly finished. So replacing diesel pumps with solar pumps can obviously reduce the emissions associated with diesel generators, but also improve irrigation systems to reduce emissions associated with flood irrigation. And thirdly, we will also be looking at exploring the feasibility of offshore wind in the longer term for Bangladesh as a more utility scale renewable energy option. So that's it, really. Like I say, we're looking to support on adaptation and mitigation, as well as environmental management in an integrated form. We'll continue to provide technical assistance as well as our grant financing. But I think the last point I want to make is we launched a climate partnership with Bangladesh in the UK, and Bangladesh launched jointly a climate partnership in 2020. And this recognises that the UK and Bangladesh have expertise to share with each other and also with the world. And we want to continue to learn from each other and work together. So that was the end of what I wanted to say. I don't know if there's going to be some question and answer now.
Thank you, Anna. We don't actually have time for question and answers, so
Okay, all right.
but maybe backstage people could meet you during the lunch that we have right now. So if you're in the auditorium.
I'm at home.
Oh,
That's why I'm
okay.
going virtually.
I'm sorry, we are just like 20 minutes over time, but thank you.
No problem. I understand. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.